There's nothing like being in the stands cheering on your favorite team. Game Time is your hack to unlocking amazing tickets in just a few taps. Plus, their Game Time guarantee means you can trust you'll get 100% authentic tickets at the best price. Fees are always included, so what you see is what you pay. Get the best deals on sports tickets. Download the Game Time app and create an account to start searching for tickets to upcoming games and events. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Game Time.
Welcome to the Secret Keepers Podcast with your host, Erin Wood. Join us as we uncover the hidden thoughts, stories, and moments that help bring light to the healing power of truth and examine how silence can affect us mentally, physically, and spiritually. We'll also share profound stories, interviews, and transformative narratives to help release ourselves from the hidden and step into healing towards inner peace, joy, and fulfillment. Now, here's your healing strategist and host, Erin.
Welcome to the Secret Keepers Podcast. And today, my guest is Erin Wood, and I am going to have her tell you a little bit about herself.
Hello. Telling you about myself. So I went from being very sad and depressed and sick to living this life that I love. I'm now working a full-time job, really impacting people. I have a small life coaching business. I'm a wife. I'm a fur baby mama. I've got 2 dogs that I love. And I have got this thirst for knowledge, and I just love to learn. And my hobby, which I'm looking forward to now, is curling during the winters, and that starts in a month. So I'm getting very excited. A little bit nervous because I don't walk very well the whole 6 months that we curl because I'm always in pain, but it's worth it.
I love it. I love that you curl. I've driven past the facility.
Sure.
I have never watched it other than on the Olympics, so I might have to come and watch that.
Oh, definitely. It's so much fun.
Well, welcome today, Erin, and I'm so happy to have you here. Erin and I met at a women's networking event, and Erin she has a very compelling story to share with all of you about her healing journey, and I'm just excited to have you here, Erin. So let's start from the beginning, right? You said you were really unhappy and unwell. So let's dive into that. What did that really look like?
Sure. I went from being a very Um, I think well-adjusted. I'm gonna say I was well-adjusted. I felt well-adjusted when I was younger. I was happy, I had self-esteem, I was a star soccer player, or worked I was involved in everything at school. And then one day I just stopped healing and I got sick. And this was 16 when I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia, chronic
Okay.
migraines. I ended up having to basically homeschool myself. Health and the depression kicked in and I was just sad and miserable with no energy. He I mean, I was happy and got to see friends only for the fact that I had a twin sister and a sister a year younger. So there were always people at my house. So I wasn't, like most chronically ill people, I didn't get isolated at that time in my life. So that was thankful. But I ended up transferring high schools my junior year of high school because my dream was to go to UW-Madison. And with my attendance, the public school I was going to didn't want me, were giving me B's. And UW-Madison, even back then, you needed 4.0 or higher and
Sure.
all these activities. So it's really, it affected my entire life. Struggled on and off. I started college in 1999 and I graduated in it like 2000, 2000 and wow, I started at 18 and I graduated when I was maybe 36. So I
Okay.
can't even remember. That was like 2016. And
Okay.
I just kept going back.
So you said fibromyalgia. So was that easy to get diagnosed, or was this something that
No.
you really had to dig for?
Yeah, we were surprised with the fibromyalgia diagnosis. We were looking for lupus or something
Mhm.
else, and there was just a lot of medical appointments, a lot of on questions, what was my health coming from my depression? Was my depression coming from my health? And it really wasn't, we had no answers except, oh, fibromyalgia and all sorts of weird stuff that went with it. But when I was 33, I started having strokes. I had four strokes. The fourth one being much more major. I ended up in the hospital for a while. I lost the movement in my right hand. I had to relearn how to talk. Like I sounded, according to my husband, like a drunk German, or maybe not German, but a drunk foreign speaker, or because no one could understand me. And
Sure.
I needed to learn how to like swallow again. And it
Oh,
was all because I was on fertility medicine and trying to get pregnant. And I had this undiagnosed lupus and a blood condition that was clotting the thing. So at 33, we started to get answers that we were looking for since 16. Lupus is hard to diagnose. You have to check all the boxes before they'll treat you for it. And I was just missing that one box. Uh,
okay.
yeah.
So for the audience who doesn't maybe have any sort of knowledge of what like fibromyalgia might be or lupus,
Mhm.
can you just tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Chronic pain. And with the fibromyalgia, there's a lot of chronic pain in all my muscles. And with the lupus, it's the organ systems and a lot of inflammation in my joints. And it's chronic fatigue goes right hand in hand with that. So it's exhaustion. It's more than being exhausted because you did so much. It's something that you're just so tired that no matter how much you sleep, nothing refreshes you. The migraines, which for me went right along with it. I just had horrible migraines. They were so debilitating. I'd go to the emergency room 3 or 4 times a month, and I couldn't walk myself. My husband helped carry me in, and yeah. But yeah, it was a lot. Like everything went wrong. And nothing was working well for me. I couldn't think because you have brain fog.
Mhm.
It's like thinking through clouds where you know what you want to say and you just can't think. And then it got worse with my strokes. I became dyslexic at age 33. And I started having word finding problems. So sometimes I can sit there and I'll say like elephant for no reason and be thinking like house, and people just are like, oh, and that still happens. It's much better. I made it through college after my dyslexia and my fourth stroke. So I learned to compensate it, and just keep on trekking on and learning how to learn again.
Well, it's inspirational because you keep moving forward, and it's a reminder of how neuroplastic our brain is
Mhm.
because you've had these strokes and you're experiencing these major breakdowns of your body, and yet your brain is continuing to rewire and reroute, and because you are putting the work in though, right? It's not like you were
Right.
just sitting around and hoping and wishing that this was going to get better. So let's take a look at that a little bit because I know well you alluded to, that you had um some depression, and that they weren't quite sure what came first, the chicken or the egg, right?
Right.
Trying to figure out the stuff. But and then you were saying that you had one box that you didn't check to get the diagnosis of lupus, which could have
Mhm.
really changed the um, trajectory of your life, right? Because
Right.
you were doing all these fertility treatments, and those treatments are really hard on the body. And then, as a result, you were having these strokes. So let's just talk a little bit about like the one box that wasn't ticked.
Yeah, that was this blood called alpha phospholipid antibody syndrome. It's a blood clotting disorder. And so I'm on warfarin, and it's every day, which is a blood thinner. And once they got that, lupus diagnosis, I started different medications, and that really helped. You got my migraines under control. And also, my mindset changed. And I went on a new medication for anxiety. I'm not going to say the name of the drug because a lot of people are on it. And I don't want to scare you, but it took away all of my feelings and emotions. I mean,
Mm,
I hit rock bottom. I couldn't feel anything. There was nothing for the first time. Don't get me wrong. I was never suicidal or into self-harm, but I understood what people meant where they can't feel anything, that there's just nothing there. So I went off the medication, luckily, and snapped out of it. And then, something inside me just said, Erin, you've got to be happy. You can't live like this. Yes. And that's when I started to fight. It was a switch, and I wish I could tell you how I flipped that switch, but, I finally hit that rock bottom and just had enough. So getting out of the depression, I found CBD oil, which I'm not saying is a magic fix all. It's something that did wonders for me, but because of my body chemistry. And with that, and following my doctor's orders and stuff, I was able to get off of my um, pain medicine. I took too much pain medicine. We're talking about Dilaudid daily, and I took too much lorazepam, and finally I was able to get off these medications. And although the pain didn't go away, I handled it better. With the mindset, I had more of a positive attitude, and I just looked at the world differently, which is one of the things that CBD can do. So, and I've told my doctors this, and they said that you're like 1 in 10,000 that it works this way. Hey, so
okay.
which was amazing. But it was a slow recovery. So that was like 2017, 18. And I went back to graduate school. I had a lupus crisis. I couldn't walk upstairs to my internship. I couldn't get from the elevator in one floor, the mile around where my internship was, because they didn't have a wheelchair. So I had to drop out of school again, so that was dishearteningly, but we moved. We moved from Racine to Appleton. And I was slowly able to get a full-time job for basically the first time in my life. Yeah, and I just started getting slowly better. And it was only maybe 3 years ago where things really took traction for me and I started moving forward. Right. It was a simple conversation. I've got this husband that I love to death. He is an amazing man. And he looked at me one day and he said something. Oh, and I go something like, "Oh, I love you more than anything in the whole wide world." And I say this to him often, and didn't expect to come back. Well, one day he looked back at me and said, "Well, besides yourself and God." And I'm like,
Mm,
no, I really love you more than anything else in the world. Because the truth was, as although I'm spiritual, I didn't have the best relationship with God. I mean, God's there, but in the background. And
mhm,
me, I didn't love myself,
mm,
at all. I never even thought of self-love. And that sent me down this is endless, you know, endless like master classes, books that I read, self-development programs. I became a personal development junkie. And
mhm,
slowly things started to click. Like, because I was doing the work, I was reading
yeah.
the books and taking the courses, but I was integrating it into my life. I stopped and I did the exercises, and I really thought through them, and I cried, and I had breakthroughs. So many aha moments, and slowly my confidence came up, and I really started to love myself, and I started, to work on my relationship with God. And still now I'm in lay ministry classes. My husband's in seminary, so I'm trying to, figure out how to not lose myself and become a pastor's wife. But it was really, that work, you know, doing all the homework and looking at myself and not running away. I came up with one real important breakthrough, and I found out that, I loved myself when I was younger. I really, really loved myself. And I knew who I was and I had dreams. But when I got sick,
Oh,
the self-love went out the window. And I didn't realize that till a breakthrough with a life coach that I was working with. And I'm like, huh. So it all started to click. But, I got the confidence and started to feel like I can help other people. So I started, went through a life coaching program and then started a small business, and I just keep getting better and better. I mean, not everything's not perfect. My health is still the same. It's just more stable. Oh, and I never hit rock bottom again. I mean, you feel like you hit rock bottom a little bit, but it's a different level of rock bottom. I used to go all the way down, and now, I'm up here and then I'm up here. And it's just easier to see that good. But
yeah.
yeah,
Well, I love that. I think it's important for people to understand that, right? The healing journey that you're on, it's not linear. It's not this point A to point B fixing of something. The You hit on a really big piece is that disconnection from God, source, whatever you want to call God, um, in whatever faith system you have, but really having that connection and understanding that you have your direct connection. God is in you, and we forget, or maybe some people never even had a relationship and they don't understand. Um, and that big piece is missing. And when you talk about self-love, um, I think sometimes people are, like self-love and self-care, and it's some sort of fluffy, like bubble bath, and I'm going to get a massage, and this is different, isn't it? It's like
yeah,
self-love is really owning and knowing your inherent worth, right? I am worthy. I belong. I am connected, and that
mm,
I am safe not only in the world and with others, but in my own body. And when your body um, is under duress, as yours was, it can be difficult to believe that you are safe. And to have those three major components of self-love can be difficult then. So you're working through some really big things here
right.
and moving
Yeah,
forward, and I see you because I've seen over the last couple of years. I've seen even, more and more healing coming from you, and it's amazing because now your focus is, you've got this amazing job, and you're like, I'm out here serving the way that I have intended to serve. And how awesome is this? So now your energy is going into that, and there's less energy that needs to be spent and focused on um, the medications and the different things. You still have
right.
it, but it's not where every single second of your day is obsessed with. Because I think I could see how that would happen if you were just home all day and you had a shelf full of pills that you got to take, and that's what you're looking at.
Right. I was in survival mode. I mean, I was barely surviving, and now I'm thriving. And, different levels of thriving, because don't get me wrong, these years haven't been peachy keen. You always, there's always setbacks. But, I haven't gone back to that survival mode. I can take care of myself. And yes, I get massages, but I also take time and I read, I do the work. So reading a self-help book isn't enough. You have to sit down and do the exercises. I self-reflect. I look really closely at myself. Like right now, I'm going through another class, and we're examining the fact of me that I have no anger. And people are like, how can you not be angry with everything that's happened and you've gone through? Your life was hijacked years ago. And I'm like, well, who am I supposed to be angry at? And I'm
Yeah.
an eternal optimist, but it wasn't God's fault. I mean, God didn't give me anything that I couldn't handle. And, so do I blame me? Yeah. And because I know that I did everything that I could in that moment. I mean, if I was who I am now, when I was 17 and just getting sick, I'd be better off. But you can't look at those, I mean, that's not how the world works.
Well, okay, I would like to take a look at all that you have learned
Mhm,
and that yes, this happened to you
mhm.
and there's wisdom gleaned. That's
Yeah.
the whole purpose of this podcast
Hmm.
is that life be lifing. Life is gonna happen. Stuff is
Right.
gonna happen, right? And when the poo hits the fan of life, right? Because we want to control, right? We hang on so tight thinking that we can control and manipulate everything around us to bubble wrap ourselves to keep ourselves safe and that nothing bad's ever going to happen. And then there's, well, oh, someone's telling you, well, you should be angry. And it's like, no, no. Who says that you need to be angry?
Right.
As you can't just process and have it move through you and know that maybe your anger maybe it just looks different. Maybe it's,
Yeah, anger is masking other emotions. And for
yeah,
me, it's sorrow. I'm not depressed anymore, don't get me wrong, but I've had moments of sorrow,
sure,
grief,
grief.
grief for the life that I lost, grief for
Yeah,
the kids that I'll never have.
right.
But, you know, but I see the positive, and that's one of the biggest gifts that I learned is
Mm,
looking for the gifts and opportunities in everything bad that happened. And the thing that is even better is I used to only be able to do that in hindsight. Like my stroke saved my life. If I would have gotten pregnant, I would have had multiple miscarriages or most likely died during childbirth. That's scary, right?
sure it is.
And so I didn't get pregnant. I didn't go through that grief. If I didn't almost die, and I didn't, and we got diagnosed before it would have been catastrophic. I was young, not healthy, but young enough to overcome the stroke. So that, those strokes, and then I got, diagnosed properly. So those strokes were one of the best things that ever happened to me.
Yeah,
They pivoted me into that way of healing. And as I do this work, the thing that I'm learning the most is that instead of looking at the good things in hindsight that happened, I can look in the moment and say, okay, that was horrible. That just bad. But look at where I'm going now. If I didn't learn that, I wouldn't have made this decision, and this decision is going to be great. And maybe I don't know why, but I know that it's going to be something worthwhile and life changing. And I can do that in the moment now. And I think that's one of the biggest gifts that I've learned through all the personal development things. That and gratitude.
well, okay, right, because okay, so you can be thankful. We can be thankful for the things that happened, that already happened, and then have gratitude for the things to come.
Mhm.
And so
Right.
shifting that energy in that focus into, like one, yes, what is there for me to glean from this lesson here? But also, what do I want life to look like? Because
Mhm.
we have that power. We're so much more powerful than we give ourselves credit for. And when I can clear out the junk and the garbage and move it away, I actually have the energy to take a peek at what's possible. Like, look at all the possibilities out there. And you were able to take, I mean, from what I'm hearing, anyways, it affected you physically, it affected you mentally, it affected you emotionally and spiritually. So the
Mhm.
whole gamut. And you were able to take all of that and push it to the side and say, you know what? No, this is my life and I get to choose, right? So you have the awareness to make the different choice, right? To create
Mhm.
a life, to have a vision of what you want for your life. And I think
Right.
that's so amazing because it could have been easy, right? To just lay down and say, you know what, I'm defeated. White flag.
Right. I spent a lot of time laying down and on bed rest and not living at all. Oh, and I'm not doing that again. That's for
Right. Like,
sure.
no, hell no. No.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm so excited for you because like I hear that conviction in your voice
Mhm.
of you saying like this is the path for me now is forward, right? Fuller expansion, fuller expression, right? You're
Right.
was like, I have got life to live because enough time has been wasted not feeling good. And what a, like, to me, that's the hero's journey. I mean, you are just out there going, nope, you can keep punching me in the stomach, but I'm going to keep getting back up and I'm going to keep going. And that's so inspirational.
I thank
Thank you
you.
for sharing that with us because I think it's important. And so I also, I heard you say, right, you read the books, you're taking the classes, you're doing the things, but I also heard you say you have a life coach, right?
Mhm.
So life coaches have life coaches because we
Right.
know the importance of that and the difference that it can make in your life. And I too know that journey of the transformation that has occurred in my own life from
Mhm.
having a life coach and from being in the depths of on a bathroom floor wanting to slit my wrist to, being where I'm like, I get to live this beautiful, wonderful life.
Yeah.
And there's, so much more in between there. And one of these podcast episodes is going to be about me, but it hasn't been yet. Um, I just have a question for you.
Sure.
In everything that you have been through and in this point in your life,
Mhm.
um, there's a gold nugget in there for you. There's a gold nugget that you want everybody that's listening to this podcast episode to know. You're like, this is the thing that everybody needs to know so that they too can move forward with their life.
Yeah. Well, it's so hard but bottle it up. It's just that life is beautiful. We are created in God's image and we're worthy. And, knowing that we have this God's grace within us, that we can just move forward. And we were meant to live amazing lives. There's so many possibilities. So, when you get scared, you have to step out of your comfort zone and look at the possibilities. And, you can't just put your toe in. You just have to fully jump and embrace that fear and the discomfort. Right. If you're not, if you're just wading in to a little bit uncomfortable, but get over it right away, it's not big enough. It's not, good enough for you to, you just have to go big. Go big or go home, go back to bed. And, I get comfortable and then I
Mhm.
just am like, okay, life, life is easy, but what's more out there? I want more. I want to live my dreams. I want to, and one of the big things is I learned that you have to be. You have to just sit there and have time to be, to think, to reflect act instead of just doing, we're human beings.
Yeah.
And that your doing needs to come from your being, and if that makes any sense. You need to
It does.
like be and then do things that help bring you joy and help serve others if that's what brings you joy. You
Mhm.
can't just do and just not live and enjoy. You got to celebrate life, all the small things. Maybe
All
not
the
so
time.
much as I do with food. I need to find a different celebration than going out to fancy dinners. But I like to celebrate everything.
And it's important. That's a big piece we miss. I mean, it's kind of gets caught in this, like you need to be humble.
Mhm.
And celebration is an important piece of everything. I'm like, yeah, you did the thing, pat the back, and you rock. And I want to go back to your point about being.
Mhm.
Um, there's so much that we seek outside of us, and the voice that we really need to listen to is the one that's inside of us. Your
Right.
inner knowing and trust that you're being guided. Every single soul on this planet is being guided and has that direct connection to God. And so, when you sit with yourself and you're quiet, Wayne Dyer says, that prayer is when he would talk to God, and that meditation is when God has a chance to speak back, right? If I am not still, if I am not quiet, how can God talk to me? Because I've got all this racket going on. So thank you for for bringing that up and bringing attention to it, because
Sure.
it's so important to be still, right? Be still and know.
Yeah, there's a quote that always stuck with me. I don't know who said it, but silence nourishes the soul. And,
Oh,
it really does, you know.
it does. It does. And we're conditioned, right? Because we're bombarded, just constantly with images and sounds and things, and especially the young people coming up. I mean, I went to high school in the 80s. Nothing was recorded, thank God. Let me tell you. But we just didn't have all of that extra stimulation that's happening now. And yeah, there's a whole nother segment. But anyways, if the audience wants to connect with you, Erin, can you please let them know how they can find you?
Yes, I have a life coaching business I call Empower Me Coaching. So there's Empower Me Coaching LLC.com, and my email is empowermecoaching LLC@gmail.com. You can find me in Facebook. I just use I don't have a business Facebook page yet. I'm Erin Carol Wood on Facebook. And yeah, so I would love to connect. I love to look for clients and referrals. When you talk about being, what I do for life coach is examine. I'm ontologically trained, so it's the study of being. And so I
Mhm.
really look at, who are you being right now? Who do you need to become to live that life of your dreams? And that's the question, that I always ask myself. Who are you showing up as? Who are you being? And do you
Mhm.
like this? Is this helping you?
Yeah.
When I'm doing too much and I'm just busy, I ask myself, what am I hiding from? What am I avoiding? Because there is something, if I'm
Absolutely.
doing, I'm hiding from myself or from something. And
Something we just
yeah,
don't want to deal with, right? But
yeah.
you're human, right? And I think that's just it. We give ourselves the grace to be the humans that we are. And
Mm,
it's beautiful. You have an awareness of something. So once you have that awareness, you can make a different choice and you can get a different result and create a new habit. There's so much, but it's all about, can I see it, right? Can I
right.
see it? And that's where the coach comes in, because the
Mm,
coach helps you see through, the blind spots that you can't see.
mhm.
And they're like, oh, let me shine a little light over here.
Right. And you're like, no, and then it sends
Oh.
me back. It
The
never pushes
master
me
may
far
says
back.
no.
That shows that you have more work to do.
Yeah,
And
right.
it shows you where to do the work. And
Yeah,
because you're never there, this is a lifelong journey. You're never going to be there. The journey is the destination. And,
yeah, it is.
you're on that journey, you're moving forward. And it just, it gets more fun. I don't know if it gets easier, it gets different. And then it
And
brings
just keep
you
living,
closer to your
right?
dreams. Yeah. You're
Just
not
keep living your
living.
life.
Yeah.
You gotta live life, enjoy life, find the moments of wonder, go outside, look at the blue sky, put your feet in
Mm,
the green grass, go sit by some water, watch kids laugh and play, look at the pretty flowers. This time of year, I love to watch the bees. They're
mm.
all working away, and they know they're gonna die. It's like they're still busy doing their jobs, right?
Right.
They're out there. And so I'm in awe and wonder and just what's around me. But again, I could go on forever. So
Yeah,
thank
that wonder and awe you just can't
you.
lose.
Right. Yes. So just keep living. And thank you again for being a
Sure.
guest here on the Secret Keepers podcast, Erin.
All right. Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining the Secret Keepers Podcast. If you found this episode helpful, please give us a like and follow so we can invite you back. And if you just want more, visit CorrineZuleger.com. Remember, you're not alone.